Hi, everybody. Today we talk about our typical focus, namely a situation in Taiwan Strait and South China Sea, right? Now, first of all, I would like to share with you a surprising news, and that is probably a week or so ago, a famous billionaire with the name Mobius. He used to tell people how Chinese market is promising and fantastic. And he has been himself investing a hell of a lot of money in the Chinese market and also made some profit. Now he wants to transfer his money in China, in a Chinese bank, actually in the HSBC bank, a European bank, but in China, to move it from his account outside China. And what happened is he could not get the money. And when he tried to find out why, then the Chinese authorities say, well, you have to prove, you have to show all the evidence how you have made all this money. And, and then he was basically saying, how can I find all the evidence to prove how I make the money in the last 20 years? Yeah. So anyway, as long as he cannot satisfy the Chinese official, then his money is staying in China. Okay, so this is a huge warning for all investors, all foreign investors in Chinese market. But what about the so to say the national investor, the national capitalist? It's not a good time for them either. What happened is, recently, you guys know that there was a so-called Folk Congress big conference where they officially, the Chinese parliament members, with 100% yes vote, had officially elected Xi Jinping to head of state for another 5 years period. Now, in his speech, he mentioned something interesting. One thing is he said, well, we are facing a challenge that we have never been facing before, okay? And then he blamed the whole thing, that is because of American suppression to China. Well, maybe he's telling partly the truth that he's facing a biggest challenge. But when he mentioned American suppression, then it's the typical communist propaganda trick. They don't tell you the whole story. They start the story at chapter 2 and not chapter 1, because chapter 1 is that Americans are very disappointed and China has been more and more aggressive. And that's why, after 40 years of mistake, America changes Chinese policy, yeah, and no longer helping China to develop an economy and so on, but rather to suppress them. Yes, so he's right, but he never tell you the chapter 1. Okay, he started with chapter 2, and in his speech he also said something very interesting. He talked about the private enterprises, like Alibaba and Tencent and all this huge company. Yeah? This private company, they are the backbone of the Chinese economy. They are actually the one who created the so-called economic miracle in China. Now, because all the state-owned company, they actually are making losses. Yeah? But the private company make enough money to cover their losses and even some surplus. Now, what did Xi Jinping say? Well, he was saying, oh, dear private enterprise, or, national capitalists, don't worry, we will look after you. You are actually our own people, so you are part of us. Wow, it sounds very nice, but, imagine when a party boss telling a company that you are actually one of us. Of course, what he tried to cheat people is, don't worry, we will take care of you, we will help you, we will support you. But I think what he really means is, your money is my money. This is why you are my own people. So, and we know that they have already taken a lot of money from Jack Ma, from Alibaba, and that will continue more and more. So they are in crisis. They have not enough money, okay? That's why they kept the money of Mobius, and that's why they want to continue to take money from the private enterprise. And now what happened is, militarily, in this People's Congress, they decided to increase again 7%, roughly 7% of the military expenditure, military spending. Well, maybe you think 7% is not that much. Actually, it's a lot of money, 7% of the national budget. But that has been the case, around 7% every year since 29 years back. So that's a huge amount of money. And you know that China now has, for example, more number of warships than America. America has about 300 warships, and China has now 350 around warships. So, but of course, America has allies like Japan, Australia, and so on, and Taiwan itself. So when you add these allies warship together, then again it's a couple hundred more than China. So that is the situation in the world, and America is also becoming more and more clear in their mind. You guys should know that America made a mistake 40 years ago and thought that the communist China, if we help them to become richer, so they don't have economic problem, and then there will be a middle class, and the middle class will automatically demand for more democracy and freedom and human rights. So China will then gradually convert into a normal country like most countries in the world, But unfortunately, that has not been the case. And I must say that the President Donald Trump was probably the first American president who have seen this. That was an error. That was a mistake. He said it actually openly, publicly, and he started the change. Okay, and Joe Biden continued. So, I mean, recently, the American Congress, they have passed through several bills condemning China aggression against Taiwan, confirming support, both militarily and otherwise, to Taiwan, and so on. And all these bills was passed with absolute majority, from both parties. And McCarthy, the Congress spokesperson, he's going to meet the president of Taiwan. When President Tsai Ing-wen, she's going, I think, in April to New York to receive an award, and she will deliver a speech there too. And then after that, she will meet McCarthy, the spokesperson of Congress, in California. And by the way, the defense minister of Taiwan, he actually recently also make a very clear statement, and of course supported by most of the democratic countries in the world. Namely, this time he take the active role by warning the communist China and saying that, okay, if you cross the borderline, which is 12 sea miles from the coast of Taiwan, that is an intrusion because we have a territorial water like all countries have of 12 sea miles, right? So if you come in, we will open fire. We will open fire. So, all the players in this world arena is preparing for war. And America, first time, I think, I don't know, since, for me, I don't know when was maybe since the Second World War, the Pentagon has issued a letter to all American soldiers, telling them that our biggest threat is China. It's a generational threat. I mean, it's not a threat for just a couple of months, for generations. This is how I understand. And ask all soldiers to get prepared for this big, dangerous enemy. So that is a big change. Now, the question is, why communist China are so aggressive? Why CCP is so aggressive? And so many countries in the world feel threatened by them. Yeah, recently in the United Nations, when they have a vote about the Ukraine war, United Nations want to condemn Russia. 141 countries gave yes vote, yeah, condemning Russia, and 7 countries against, and then 30 countries give a blank vote, and China never condemned Russia. So this actually helped the Western world to see clearer and clearer what role China is playing. Now, the reason that they are aggressive actually because of the communist background, because all communists in the whole world, they believe in violence, they believe in power. Yeah, might is right. Yeah, they look at the world that that the American and the Western values is dominating in the world just because they are stronger. So when we get stronger, we have to say, and then we are not going to talk about the same value. So if we are ready to accept the communist value, which means every people should be obedient to the party, and the party follow the principle of might is right and do whatever they want to strengthen their power, then I say good luck for your future. But I hope most of us do not agree to that, and so let's work for a better future. Thank you for today, and don't forget to check the subscription and click the like. Bye-bye.